gas on, and the government in terms of different stimulus poured gas on some of the reinflation in certain areas. But as
He's not a virgin anymore. He's a vegan.
Ring, ring, ring. Hello, simps and virgins.
Can you read this comment, please?
And vegans.
He's not a virgin anymore. He's a vegan.
K910. Definitely virgin.
Whoa!
Welcome back to Cross Magic
Just rude. So fucking rude. Oh my god, I apologize for that. Very disrespectful in the morning from my Finnish mermaid over there. Anyways, welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. There is plenty to talk about today because we have the new monthly of which that is really going to set in the buys for, of course, the next few weeks to come, and well, with extension to the monthly specifically, probably the next 2 to 3 months to come. So with all of that in mind, it's going to be a bit of a discombobulated analysis today, simply because there are plenty of time frames that are worth watching right now that all are kind of going against each other, which is gonna make for a very, very fun February, I do suspect. So we'll address the chart of the day soon enough. I actually want to address one of the super chats here right off the bat because I thought that this one was rather interesting. And I'm going to make a little bit of an example out of you, my friend. I apologize in advance. But actually, before we get into that, I should read over here. I see someone says, I just 100x longed on Bybit. Congratulations, man. Please don't get too wrecked. Of course, make sure that you use the link in the description below and get wrecked with my link. No, just kidding, of course, man. Don't fucking do that. Don't trade on leverage if you don't already have a winning strategy. You don't need to risk any finances in order to find out if your strategy is going to work or not. You just paper trade it, or even employ one of the demo accounts, which Bybit actually does have, to give them their credit. So you actually could do that. That is what I would suggest to do, because then you know, are obviously not going to be wrecking your trading equity. And then after you do actually figure out whatever strategy you're going to settle on, well, then maybe consider putting it on there. Maybe, however, just trade spot first. It might be a little bit less threatening, let's say. Anyways, I want to. There's an echo. There's an echo. Oh, hold on. Oh shit. Sorry about that. What the fuck? Why was that happening right there? Apologies on that. Why the fuck was that even happening to begin with? That was very bizarre. It should be fine now. Okay, you can stop doing the fucking echo. Jesus Christ, man. I wonder why that was going on. Maybe. Oh my god, I know why it was going on. Jesus Christ, I'm so fucking stupid. I had the YouTube video playing in the background. Apologies on that. My bad right there. Jesus, man. That bad way to start off this morning, man. Bad way to start off this morning. But good morning to everyone out there. I want to wish you a happy and healthy start to this nice first day of February. We've made it all the way to February, of which we do have a new monthly, and that is very, very important, which is going to really set in the buys for the next 2 to 3 months to come. And also other higher term timeframes closing last night on Monday, so that is going to really set in the buys for the next couple of weeks to come. And there are several things to be aware of, especially in the medium term time frames going on right here. Okay, beautiful. All right, so we're good on that. I see that we got a shit ton of people in here right now, which is nice. We got 900 people watching, 252 likes on the video. Nikki Page is here, Rocky G is here, Elsa's here as well. Do we see any other moderators? Yes, Randy Fox. What's up, Mr. Randy Fox? And who else? I'm trying to search out some of the moderators right now. I think that's it for right now, but that's all good, man. We got enough to get going right now. I see a lot of familiar faces here too. I see Jack Asman. Good morning to you, man. Big Boy George, Gabor, Mr. Baz. There he is. Bitcoin Flight Club. Nice one, man. Tabin. What's up, brother? Clark the Lark. Clark the Lark. Are you the Lark? Are you the Crypto Lark, though? Crypto King. What's up, man? Yes, I am indeed. Quite lucky to have Elsa with me. Glenn Cooper. Good morning to you as well, sir. Matador MC. Hooded Knight. Nice name, by the way. Nice name. That would have been a good World of Warcraft name back in the day. Willis. Good morning to you as well, man. Toby Leong. Paul Thomas, Danny Reyes, Keenar, what's up, dude? Mr. Beach. Actually, Mr. Beach, I'm going to address your super chat right off the bat here because I thought this one was rather interesting. I also see someone else is talking about going super long on Bybit. Be careful with that, as always. I don't know if that came through when the echo was on or not, but if you are going to go 100x long on Bybit, make sure that you use my affiliate links so that I get paid for it. No, just kidding. Don't fucking do that. Don't trade on leverage. Don't trade on fucking leverage if you don't already have a winning strategy. The beautiful thing about the internet is that you can create what's called a demo account where you do not risk any of your financial equity, and you can get in your repetitions, test your potential strategies there, and see if it's going to work out or not. And then if you do get the data that you're looking for, then potentially seriously consider, you know, actually trading. But until then, it's really, 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 really unwise. One of the biggest impediments that I see to people really taking on this as a potential, you know, skill and thus living as well is that they wreck their trading equity before they actually learn the skill of trading, which is very unfortunate because you don't need to do that. You actually don't need to do that. That is the purpose of backtesting, and that is the purpose of demo accounts as well. Anyways, I wanted to address this super chat right off the bat here. I thought that this one was rather interesting, and then we could get into the content of the day, the chart of the day, if you will. And this one's coming from Mr. Beach. Mr. Beach. His name is Mr. Beach. Sorry, I'm not calling him a bitch. His name is Mr. Beach. Says, good day from New Zealand. I'm learning a shit ton. That's awesome. Very, very cool to hear. Just a question: when you see the wall of massive buys, for example, on Bitcoin, Perp, FTX at whatever the fuck price, in all due respect, does that mean that some of the TA goes out of the window? So I'm gonna make a bit of an example out of you right here, not because I'm trying to be a dickhead towards you, but because this is a thing that I intuitively thought at first when I first started to learn. And here's the thing. This shows very, 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 very simply that you have sorry, and again, forgive my intensity here, but you have absolutely no fucking idea what you're looking at when it comes to technical analysis or just on the charts in general. Look, a buy wall, a sell wall, whatever the fuck, in the order books is completely fucking irrelevant. Why is it irrelevant? Because those are not actual real trades. The actual real trades are, first off, never shown in the order books. Why? Because they only come from market orders, and market orders are by definition executed at market, meaning that they are not a limit order, meaning that they are not going to be shown on that, obviously. So it only comes through the tape. Where does that get represented? Does it get represented in the order books? Absolutely fucking not. Does it get represented in the charts? Yes, it does. That is real tangible price action. So does the technical analysis, or does any sort of analysis go out the window? Absolutely fucking not, man. A lot of the time, these things are just designed to be a bit of a distraction or dissuade people from, from doing what they probably actually should be doing. So I actually do happen to have quite a fair bit of experience myself with algorithmic trading. And one of the strategies that a lot of the high frequency algorithmic trading guys will do is that they will actually, and this is really, really diabolical, is that they will actually be trying to incite other bots and algos into doing something stupid, and also retail by extension as well, or just anyone, who's watching the order books thinking, oh my God, here, they're just going to tell me what they're going to do in the order books, right? I'm going to try to buy 100 million right here and no one else is going to see. It's like, are you fucking serious? Really? You think that that's just going to be telegraphed into the order book? No, absolutely not. But anyways, going back into it and what point was actually making right there, my point that I'm making is that the orders that actually create price action, that actually move price action by definition, are always going to be market orders, which of course are not going to be shown in the order book. Order book orders, yes, that's the point that I was going to. Order book orders, a lot of the time, it's a lot of bots and algos that are actually in a competition with each other, trying to get them to and bait them into doing stupid things, because they know that very less sophisticated bots, and also, people watching the order books as well, they'll look at an order in the order book and then they'll make a decision based upon that, thinking that there's actual liquidity there, that it's a real order, something of that nature, and then they can take advantage of them, run it the other way, and wreck them essentially. So also, what is an issue with going off the order books? You can delete that fucking order faster than you can, or a bot can delete that order faster than you can even see it, essentially. And on top of that, it also does not incorporate what's called hidden orders. Those are orders that only show a very small amount of size, or sometimes even don't show any size, and they will get hit. Again, only at market, of course, only from market orders. So please understand that yes, if you're looking at something like that, the charts are only going to show orders that actually fucking went through, that actually got filled, not that just went through. So again, you can't trade something that actually hasn't happened. So no, that is actually completely the backwards way of looking at it. And technical analysis obviously it's not like a perfect thing or anything like that, but it's certainly a lot better than looking at fucking order books, of which I do not know any successful trader who specifically looks at the order books. I do know, and this is very different. I need to be very, very clear here, because people get this confused with watching the tape, which is very legitimate. Because why? Because those are actual real orders getting fucking filled, and those real orders getting fucking filled, well, that's going to show up on the charts as well. It's just, I think it's an easier way to see it. But yes, there are some people, especially the old timers, who will look and watch the tape coming in, and they can read it. And it's a really, really cool skill that I do not have myself, but very few people have it. Anyways, so yeah, my point there is that, look, a lot of these order books, a lot of these book maps and shit, I think that they're completely fucking worthless, completely fucking useless, to be quite honest with you. They look right. They look interesting. People will be like, oh, look at all the orders right here. But do they actually matter until they get filled? No, absolutely not. So it can maybe be a bit of a secondary or tertiary sort of tool, perhaps, but the real value in some of those order book maps things is that they actually have found out a way to decipher where stop orders are, which would be rather powerful. To be fair, that's actually incredibly powerful. So I would say that has an extreme amount of value. I don't necessarily watch it myself, but you know, it should naturally line up with the areas on the charts anyways. I mean, all of this stuff is related to each other. So yeah, I'll just and again, yeah, Nimbo just said it right there. It's extremely easy to spoof. You're so bad at TA, says Adam. Thank you for that, man. Imagine that. Just imagine that, man. Yeah, you can go ahead and get rid of them, mods, if you're actually doing your fucking job. That'd be great. I don't care if he's joking. Like, if you're just gonna come in here and just say something silly, that's like, all right, thank you for that very intelligent and insightful comment, sir. Anyways, mods, be great if you actually did your fucking job. Beautiful, and there we go. Anyways, you just pay. Yeah, exactly, man. So yeah, you know, if you are gonna look at order books, some of the times, what's it called? They will actually let you know where stop orders are. That actually is quite valuable. So I do want to differentiate those two facts right there. All right, sweet. I'm going to take a little bit of a sip of this because I'm really thirsty. Yeah, a little bit of a small thing to get mad at right there. But you know what, man? It's a very serious day. It's a new fucking month, and there are plenty of things to be speaking about right now. All right, sweet. Let's see. What is that is so silly. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and ban anyone who's trolling right now. It's gonna get silly. It's gonna get silly for today. Don't even bother timing them out. Just fucking get rid of them. Anyways, okay, cool. So where do I want to start this one off? There's so many ways to take the analysis today because long term, a lot of things were confirmed in the last 24 hours that are not going to be great, not going to be great for price action. However, in the short term, medium term, this is going to be actually rather okay. Okay, so let's actually start it off right here. Okay, here we start off with Bitcoin. It's starting to look at the global open interest yet again, of which we did find a nice low on this same sort of activity that we saw back on over in the December rally to the $52,000 prior range highs. I think that we're seeing the same thing over here as well, kind of playing into the idea that we've been mulling over for the past week that Bitcoin's more likely to bounce in the short and medium term. We've seen the short term bounce, yes. Now we want to see the medium term timeframes take over and, you know, put Bitcoin somewhere into the low $40,000 territory. Long term, however, there is a much different picture going on right here. And that different picture is going to be represented perhaps by the global open interest yet again. So as we do work off the lows coming off of the prior extreme reads from just under 14 billion, I'd be looking for this and suggesting caution yet again if we do see it get above about 13 billion. And if that 13 billion read comes in with still a lower high on the daily specifically, that would be a good indication that, you know, we're still within the throes of a pretty nasty downtrend, and this is just a corrective rally, of which I do think that there are several things in the higher term time frame suggesting that. So again, really need to be careful with my language here because there is going to be a massive difference in analysis between the short and medium term versus the long term and even the macro in this case as well. So on top of that, we do see that the fear and greed index on this chart over here in the indicators tab is actually coming back down rather interestingly to the 20 read. Can actually get this one blown up. There we go. Coming back down into the extremely fearful zone. So again, you know, is this a setup for a continuation on the short and medium term? More likely, yes. I do think that there's several things that do point towards that continuation first before any sort of a potential major dumpola party yet again. On top of that, we do see that the nupple over here, again, in an area that we do expect to see, you know, at minimum some corrective bounces, potentially even a major low. I do think that there is there's obviously always going to be a path forwards for that, but do understand that, you know, that still is going to be pretty damn far away. So we'll go over the validation criteria for a macro reversal, but it's, it's not really relevant right now, to be fair. Anyways, we'll go back on over here into the dashboard. I also want to check out the funny rates, of which we do see it is actually still negative. It's a very slight amount of negative number right there, not anything too crazy, but negative 0.03%. What's more important is that over the past week and a half to almost 2 weeks now, we have seen consistently negative rates, even going as far down as about negative 0.015%. Again, not anything too crazy right there, but coming off of the macro lows at $30,000 for the past year, essentially going back to January of last year, in this case right here. Let me just pull this chart up. This area that I'm calling right here, it's more likely to bounce within a region like that, as a lot of people get a little bit too excited for the downside. A lot of people get a little bit too bearish at a time when realistically the time to be getting bearish was about a couple months before, when Bitcoin did put in the downtrend below 63,500. That is when the daily actually did initiate its first lower low and lower high in succession, thus reversing the trend. And then all criteria from that point until now has just been, okay, we can talk about short-term corrective rallies, but until Bitcoin gets above X, Y, and Z, which is typically your last lower high, for example, there's no real talks of any major macro reversals. So same thing going on over here as well. And again, the probabilities I do think are on a bit more of an upside continuation, perhaps not necessarily exactly from today, but over the next week or so. Now there's going to be a few major pieces of criteria alongside that. Let's go over here into, do we want to work off this chart? Do we want to work off that chart? Want to get rid of should I get rid of my LARP lines right here? I mean, it is kind of relevant, but we'll get rid of it for right now. It's not super, it's not super pertinent to this time frame. So I'm working off the 12-hour time frame right now. I'm still looking at the same validation conditions for that next move up into the shallow $40,000 territory, with the target up towards about 40,500, maybe even as much as $41,000 for the next move. If Bitcoin does close, could we even use the hourly in this case? I could probably use an hourly in this case, although I would move the resolution point up a little bit higher towards 39,250. If I'm looking at a full hour, I would say, just quite simply put, 39,000 bucks would do it for me, or it's technically 38,900 or so. Anyways, with that in mind, we are finding a little bit of a short-term local high right here. So Bitcoin, does it pull back in the short term in the interim? Probably yes. Looking at the hourly right now does look a little bit exhausted on the shorter term time frame. So coming back down to maybe just under $38,000 is fair game. But there's a very specific piece of criteria right here that would invalidate the short-term potential bullish setup. Again, it hasn't necessarily been validated to begin with just yet. It's still the same conditions that we spoke about from the last, week or so now. But this would invalidate the more pertinent setup for the short and medium-term timeframes, and that would be any sort of even a lower-term timeframe closure below yesterday's low, which is about 36,600, let's say. I'm working off a Bybit right here, but it should all be pretty damn consistent. Looking at BitMEX as well, pretty damn consistent, right around about 36,600. So as long as Bitcoin's above there on an hourly, I do look at short-term time frame pulling back as just corrective higher lows. Where can those higher lows come in around? That would be on the hourly about 37,900 or so is fair game. Could even come all the way down to about 37.5. Wouldn't be too problematic there as well. And you would still be having your pair of, or not a pair, but a slew of higher lows right here, as you do see it kind of walk itself up this nice little trend line, which would be within the format of an ascending triangle, going on from your lows from the 26th and 27th of January, and then of course more recently on the 31st. And well, if it does come back down around this region again, I would be looking for a bounce at first sight. If I see something like that, that'd be a good indication that this is going to play out. And I imagine that the measure move, the implied target upon validation above the top side of this, is actually pointed a little bit above where I was kind of theoretically putting this blue box. I guess I actually will adjust that for right here. Essentially, I would be looking higher into the lower $40,000 territory. Remember that at that point, I would be looking for your other higher term timeframes to take over. Jesus, I just did the wrong one. My apologies right there. Let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of that as well. There you go. Okay, sweet. And let me get rid of this right here as well. And yes, we do see that would be right around the 382 Fibonacci retracement. And this is the Fibonacci retracement from pretty much the high, or not pretty much, it is from the high to, let me actually do this properly on a wick basis, from the high to what would be the low side of the macro range going on right here. And that would be, your nice sort of corrective target. Problem is that even on a corrective bounce here within the context of the current trend, which is obviously to the downside, as long as you're below the 382, there's no real talks of any, major, there's certainly no talks of any major macro reversals, but even general continuation is obviously going to be like no topic at all. It's they coincide with each other, obviously. Anyways, my point is that if we do start to see closures above there, I would extend targets significantly, somewhere between the 0.5 and the 618. I've actually adjusted these a little bit higher because I am using a wick basis right now. If you do use a closing base, it's going to be about $1,000 lower than those price points, but that's going to be about on a wick base about $45,000 versus just under $50,000 right there, which is in line with the last few lower highs. This would be on a wick basis again. If we were to use a closing base, it'd be a little bit lower. Either one is fine depending upon how you kind of manage your I guess your style. In this case right here though, I would suggest heavy caution within this region especially being between the 0.5 and the 618. Got too many damn blue boxes right here, but basically this region between here, that is your traditional bull trap-ish zone, because remember that the weekly did get its first lower low below the $40,000 September lows right here. So it is time to be looking at lower high watch, and with lower highs anywhere, I mean, technically anywhere below about $60,000 can be another lower high, obviously, but above the 618 specifically, I do look at that as, you know, potentially a macro reversal in progress. So as long as Bitcoin's below that region, I just look at this, you know, technically speaking, as another lower high in the making and probably downside continuation over a long period of time. Why is that? Because the monthly is rather fucking wrecked. And let's go over to the monthly over here, and then we'll get over to some of the more medium-term time frame signals. But looking at the monthly, we did see monthly stochastic momentum turn to the downside below 54,350. Obviously, that closure was met, and that number, if you recognize from yesterday, has actually gone up now. So that is downside pressure over the long term. Again, this being a monthly is rather important. On top of that, we also did confirm monthly MACD cross to the downside for the first time basically since basically January, February of 2020. And if you remember, that was like right before the flu dump, which brought Bitcoin all the way down from about 10,000 to, you know, a low of like 4,000 essentially. On a closing basis, not as bad, but you kind of get the point. And then of course the two iterations before that was right here in July or in August of 2014 on this bull trap. And before that, or sorry, after that was June of 2018 or May of 2018 on this bull trap over here. Same sort of posture on price action as well, alongside the white 20 simple. You can see right, or let me actually put this back on, right here, right here, right here, and yet again right here. So this would be a little bit more of a long-term concerning signal, as you can, or as you might think. Anyways, even from that signal given, it has taken on average 1, 2, 3, 4 in this case before the next major dooms drop. In this case, 1, 2, 3, and then dooms drop, and then this one over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then dooms drop as well. So this is not like a relevant signal immediately. It does, however, speak towards probably the next few months of price action. So I would express caution, essentially, as long as Bitcoin's, let's just make it a nice round even number, $50,000. As long as it's below about $50,000, do you kind of look at it as, well, you know, caught within a range at best, and at worst corrective with long-term downside implied. As you can see, that all of these signals were met with a test down eventually towards the green 55 exponential average, which currently is trading just under about, or where did it actually go to now? Just under $23,000. So it's actually rising up rather rapidly. You did see it yesterday at just about 500 or 600 bucks below that price point. So in the next few months, that would theoretically be, or probably be, somewhere around $25,000. So I do think that max downside, if Bitcoin does choose that route, which wouldn't even be relevant anytime soon, at least in my opinion, would be somewhere around about $25,000 on a closing basis. That is, I do think that the perma bears looking for extremely nasty downside price action below 20,000 on like consistently higher term time frame closing basis are misguided. Similar to how, you know, people talking about fucking 500,000 or whatever targets to the upside for Bitcoin are also irrelevant right now as well, especially as Bitcoin's, you know, in a daily downtrend. There's not really much to be speaking about right there. But for right now, in the short term, I would express also caution right around the daily 20 simple right here. Typically going to be a little bit of an area of give and go, and that is actually not that much higher than where we're at right now, right around the 39,300-ish region. So I do look at that as relevant on the daily. Do want to see a closure above there before I do start to look, you know, much higher into the, let's just call it shallow $40,000 territory. So I'd still be taking things one step at a time here. Do I think that there is a greater probability of an upside continuation than downside? Based off of the medium and somewhat higher term timeframes, yes, we do see daily stochastic momentum continuing to the upside as long as Bitcoin is closing above where 36,900, which does more or less coincide with the short-term time frame invalidations of, of a decent setup going on right here, which is that 36,600 low from yesterday. Even a short-term time frame closure below there, Bitcoin's no longer in a threatening posture to continue on to the upside, anytime, I wouldn't say anytime soon, but, within the next like week or so. Anyways, on top of that, we do see that the 2-day stochastic momentum is also, is not in the right place, is also heading up right here as well, as long as Bitcoin's above 33,680. And the 5-day, of course, we've already followed up on the signal, but this one was confirmed on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We do still see it obviously above 34,600. I just don't think that you need to, or at least I would not need to wait myself for that level to be taken out any longer in order for me to be looking, basically at least for another test of the lows, probably a little bit lower at that as well. So in this case, I do want to once again call out the signal to reference the chart of the day, or if the chart of the day might also be global open interest over here as well. Both of them are equally as important in this case. We do see that it is coming off of this green horizontal level at the 8.62 or just 8.5 region. And this has only happened a few times in Bitcoin's history, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the past, which is not a whole hell of a lot, to be fair, but 3 of those 4 have been macro cycle lows. The last one coming in at 3,100 over here in December 2018, the one before that coming in January 2015 over here, and the one before that, as the macro cycle lows go, was 2011. The only one that was not was your bull trap of September 2014, and this was a pretty massive move to begin with. Keep in mind, though, the downtrend still remains. So whilst Bitcoin did get a pretty nice move to the upside, more than 70% move to the upside on a wick basis, no trend was reversed in this case. We didn't even get a fucking higher high. Kind of nasty, very, very nasty right there. So my point is that over here, while we do get the signal yet again, it potentially could be that macro low, but that is very far away from being confirmed. And as you'll also notice with these prior signals, all of them, the ones that did work out to the upside, did take at least a few months before price action really got going. So I do think that Bitcoin is going to be waiting at best. So if you are like a super moon boy, I think the earliest potential time that you might see, things really start to go to the upside, and when I say upside, like new highs and whatnot, would probably be like Q3 or maybe Q4 of this year, starting time. Even then, I do think that that's a little bit more hopium than what I am comfortable postulating right now. What is more important is to talk about the areas on these timeframes that actually trend would reverse in this case. Of course, seeing as we already have lower lows, even on the 5-day right, or especially on the 5-day right here as well. It's not going to be happening anytime soon, because not only do you need to make a higher high in this case, or actually no, you already have a. Do you have a lower high right here or not? I would not consider this a lower high just yet. I don't like using these very shallow sort of pieces of price action as that, but I'd want to see both a higher high and a higher low. And in this case, we just have a lower low. So we don't have that anywhere near. So this is theoretically going to take a long time, I do think, at best. In the shorter term timeframes over here, I'm curious if we have any sort of obvious setups, which we can throw these babies back on. And let's see, anything to be aware of right now. 4-hour RSI is kind of making its way towards the bullish control zone, but this is not a powerful signal right here. I do think that short-term things do come down a little bit. That's fine. However, again, as long as Bitcoin maintains the short-term time frame higher lows, do you think that it's a lot more likely to break out to the upside than the downside in the short-term time frame specifically. Other than that, I'm not really getting anything that's too interesting. I do see a 4-hour Joule signal, but that's not anything too pertinent, I don't think. Although volatility is kind of heading in the same direction, so that'd be good. Let's see, what about an hourly over here? Yeah, hourly is a little bit more on the downside. And then if we go over here to stochastic momentum on the short-term timeframes, I'm curious if we see that kind of line up with each other. Yeah, 6-hour stochastic momentum will turn down with any sort of a closure below 37,900 or so. 4-hour will also turn down, or maybe it's already turning down. If we can actually load it, that'd be amazing. Please respawn TradingView. Actually, no, it's actually okay right there. 37,300 is the magical number on this one. Buy hourly is showing what? Is showing nothing. Is showing nothing again. Fucking TradingView. Yeah, it's coming down below 38,500, and hourly, I imagine, is probably also nosediving as well. Let's just see over here. Come on, baby, load this, please. Please? Yes, it worked. 38,625. So very, very short-term time frame, still a little bit more corrective. I am, however, just looking for higher lows on those corrections. And then, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't break below essentially yesterday's low, I do look for that one to likely lead up towards a move into the shallow $40,000 territory, whether that be like 41 to maybe even as much as 44 on the next move. I do think that would be a nice pullback region, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish on the higher term timeframes. And then the question is Bitcoin setting a higher low from there? probably does, and works its way up maybe into the end of this month. And then the real question is, you know, does Bitcoin get above any of the critical regions, specifically $50,000 on a higher term time frame closure? And also 12 hours should be known that it is turning down below about 38,400 as well here. So a lot of the lower term time frames are starting to lose their luster as far as momentum goes. But again, I'm probably just looking for a short-term pullback, something like this. And something like this, you know, and then if you see a higher low right here, that'd be good. Still validation for the upside move on the short-term time frames is the same, with targets up, you know, basically around $41,000, and probably continues a little bit more from there as well. Anyways, I think that is a good place to leave off my own analysis. Keep an eye on the global open interest here. It's been so damn consistent, and if we start to see this again, specifically get above 13 billion, even a little bit higher than 13 billion in this case, with Bitcoin not making higher highs on the daily. So the last lower high was about $44,000. At that point, you know, I'm going to start to get pretty damn bearish again. But for right now, I do think that there is a decent chance, and, you know, probably a nice reprieve during the midpoint of February. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go on Bitcoin, sirs and zers. Okay, sweet, man. I feel like my speech is not on today, but that's all right. maybe not so much all right. We are actually going to Dubai tomorrow, so I got a lot of things on my mind. I need to figure out all the different things that I need to do before then in order to make it as seamless as possible. But I'll actually do a few live streams during that trip. If the internet there is going to be okay for live streaming activities, but if not, just some regular videos as well. Probably going to be getting the job done anyways, and I imagine that it's kind of a quieter time in the market regardless of that. Anyways, let's see. I am going to take another sip of this and then get on over into the comments. I think Chill Love It All is first today. Yeah, Beach was the only one that I've done thus far. Okay, so To Love It All is first, says, hello, Sir Krown. What's up, man? How's the new year been treating you? All right. I wish I could get more sleep, though. That is the one thing that I always wish I could have more of. Can I get Luna on the 1 and 3 hour? Okay, interesting. People don't, oh, Jesus, just did it again right there. People typically don't talk about the 3 hour, but it's actually not it's not a bad time frame. That and the 6 hour, I do reference quite a fair bit in my own trading. Anyways, okay, you're looking at a 1 and 3. Would like to buy the girl a nice V-Day gift. That is very, very sweet of you, ma'am. Let's plop you want a fleshlight. Hourly right here at local resistance, kind of the same thing as Bitcoin, right? In the sense that probably looking for a little bit of a pullback targets down to like $50 or so are completely fine and fair game. Where would it start to be a little bit more concerning, however? Yeah, I don't like this one over here on the 3 hour as well. I'm looking for a pullback from this region. Would not like to see it come back down and close specifically below about $47,000 in this case. Not $47,000, $47 in this case. $47 in this case. Short term, however, I'm looking for this one to pull back a little bit. What would be the validation condition for further upside in this case with targets up? Well, I need to actually reference a higher term time frame in this case. With targets up probably somewhere around $60 or so over time, that would be with at minimum a 3 hour closure above your range highs, which is not that $53.50 region that we're currently at, but a little bit higher than that, about 55.25. So above 55.25, I do look for, you know, some decent extension somewhere into like the $60, maybe even low $60 region, and then come back to it after that. But for right now, it's a bit different on the extremely short-term time frame. So again, I want to be a little more careful with this. I do think that things probably pull back and try for a higher low first. And I really only get bearish on this one if you do start to come back down. I think it was below about $46 or so, maybe 47 if you want to be a little more, aggressive in that case. I also forgot to check out traditional markets as well. Oh, well, we can do that later. All right, cool. Let's see. I think Ricky O is next. He says Ethereum USD monthly, weekly, 4 hour. Sure, man. Yeah, let's do this one over here. We haven't really been looking at Ethereum for a while now. Let's see. Okay, very interesting on this one. All right, here we have Ethereum. We're going to be looking at this one on the higher time frames, as requested by Mr. Ricky O. He's looking at a monthly, weekly, and a 4 hour. Actually, quite a differential of time frames there. But overall, let's keep in mind where we are at here on the higher term time frames. The monthly representing the macro, of course, and that would be coming off of the yellow 21x benchmark average, which is going to be a nice take profit target for the people who are playing the monthly bearish divergence right here. And next move probably does try a little bit up over the monthly. Now, the monthly obviously being a higher term time frame does not mean that the shorter term time frames can come back down and maybe even test around the 21 again, which would be about 2320-ish region. Let me actually turn on the alerts right here as well. Turn that down here too. And But if we go down to your next time frame, like the weekly, what are we looking at right here? Well, you see local resistance right around about 2850 to about 3000 on a time frame like this. But here's the thing, I actually do think that Ethereum does have a chance here, at least for an extension of this rally. We'll come down and talk about validation conditions for that. But right now on the weekly, it should be known that weekly RSI does have 1, 2, 3 drives, actually 4 drives of potential hidden bullish divergence right here. This would be a really aggressive one though. It's usually not the best sign if you're dipping into the bearish control zone for those sorts of reads or those sorts of signals, but it is there nonetheless. And we do see that volatility is actually starting to rise here too. So I would be looking at that as a signal that you're probably looking for a bit of a bouncy bounce into February, similar to Bitcoin as well. Looking at momentum oscillators over here, like stochastic momentum, we do see long-term timeframes like the monthly are coming hard down below 37.32. So long-term, I do think that this is corrective. And so if this bounce does get going, I'd still be on lower high watch. I would not be comfortable or confident in saying that this is like it just yet. In fact, long-term, there are several signals that do suggest that this one does probably come lower over time. But in the interim, does that not mean that we can't see a nice bounce up, maybe even into the mid 3000s? Certainly possible here. Weekly stochastic momentum is still coming hard down. It will turn up above about 3640. 5-day, I believe, is already turning. It is starting to turn right here. Just need to remain above about 2369. So I would be looking at that as a major basing area, similar to Bitcoin on the relevant regions as well. But as long that is essentially to say that as long as Ethereum is closing above that region, 2350, I do look at the path of least resistance probably somewhere up around 32, maybe even as much as 35 into the month of February. Going on over here into, what was the next time frame that you asked about? The 4-hour. All right, let's actually talk about some range resolutions here on the 4-hour. What would I consider a range resolution on the 4-hour specifically? We have not seen it just yet, especially alongside Bitcoin not doing it, but it'd be right here at about 2770 or so if you're going to be using a 4-hour. We do see that 4-hour RSI is getting a little bit more up there, but that is okay. I don't really see any, I don't see any major issues with that. 4-hour Jewel also heading up as well. So I just want to see a closure above that region. 4-hour Krown cross starting to shape up here as well. But again, if you do see a pullback, just looking for a higher low, which could be anywhere around about 2620, perhaps even as far down as about 2560 or so. Ultimately, I do think that this one has a higher probability of breaking out to the upside than the downside, but I'd still be using this area right here to mediate it. And then what would be the target after that on the daily specifically? Probably somewhere over the next few weeks here, somewhere around the 55, which is just under 3200 right now. Again, that would still just be another lower high in the weekly. Speaking of that, let's see where the fibs show the range at. And yes, that's actually exactly in between the 0.5 and the 618 right there, which I do look at as a bit of a bull trappy zone. So I'm suggesting a bit of a LARP line right here in this case. Please understand that this over here would not certainly be confirmed, but if you do even see the 4-hour range highs getting taken out, and you see that validation occur, I would be looking for this move to occur over the next few weeks here into mid, maybe late February in this case. And then the question is, after it does get somewhere between about, let's say, 29 and 3300, I would be looking to see on the next pullback, does it set in a higher low or not? If it sets in a higher low anywhere above about 2600, that'd be a really, really good signal, and your confirmation of long-term bullishness with moon boy targets yet again relevant. I don't know about moon boy targets, but probably like 5,000 plus would be with getting back above about 3,300, that 618 Fibonacci retracement right there. And your confirmation of doom time, let's maybe get rid of it. Can we do that? Yes, there we go. Well, of doom time would be maybe a shallow bounce right there into a lower high, and then specifically coming back down below about 2,600. If you see something like that, very, 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 very good chance that in the following months you do see this one work its way down into the mid, maybe even low $1,000 region. So I kind of hold off on any further thoughts from there right now. Again, I think Bitcoin's just a little bit easier to watch today, but both of them pretty much in the same area, testing around your local short and medium term time frame range highs. Just want to see it actually push on through, maybe after one more short term pullback perhaps. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Ethereum Sir. Nice one, man. I think we have Mr. Luke Faulkner Hall next. He says, hey mate, hey man, thank you. FTM bouncing short term momentum and volatility. Let's see. Is it bouncing short term? What does short term mean to you? So look at the short term timeframes here in comparison to, damn it, I did it again. Look at the short-term timeframes here in comparison to what we see on Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Those two are already testing around their range highs. Phantom is nowhere near that right now, still operating in a lower high fashion, and we did get the move down around the lows already, so we got the easy move right there. The question is, I mean, this is like not a good setup. That's the problem. That makes me actually kind of pause for concern. 4-hour RSI, we do have potential hidden bearish divergence if this does confirm as a local high. How would you confirm this as a local high? Well, I need to see a closure back down below about $2 in this case. At that point, I'd be looking for a retest of the lows, and at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4 tests of the lows probably breaks, and well, more longer term, I'd be looking for a move down between about 165 to 170 in this case. Here, see where we're here on the daily. What would destroy that sort of a narrative, and what would make me feel a lot more comfortable and confident that this one will actually bust on through to the upside and test back around about 250 to 255 or so? That would be if you do take out the last lower high, not right here, but of course coming in from right around here, which is about 220. If you see something like that, I would be looking for next short-term move to the upside. However, right now, I'd actually not agree with what you're saying. FTM, unless you're looking at like a very short-term time frame compared to a 4-hour. 5 days freshly turning down, not great. 4-hour is doing what? Is actually up above 194, which is good. So that is nice. Sorry, what are you going on? What are you going off of over there? Anyways, yeah, there's gonna be no fucking laughing anymore around here. Okay. Can't help myself, man. Anyways, I just want to make sure that I'm reading your comment properly. Okay, FTM bouncing short-term momentum and volatility. Well, volatility is contracting right here, so this is again like not what you're looking for. 4-hour Joule is showing upside, but that's alongside volatility contracting. That's not the signal that you're looking for. Still, this essentially is a corrective signal, not a reversal signal just yet. I would not look at this as a potential reversal as long as you're below about 220. So the problem is that if Bitcoin and Ethereum do come down yet again, does this one actually confirm a local high here, thus confirming, another retest of the lows? Very likely, yes. However, I would invalidate that and validate a decent amount of upside here, back up to your 250 to maybe even 255 highs with any sort of a 4-hour closure above your range highs in the short term, which is 220 in this case. Other than that, yeah, no, I'd actually disagree. Maybe the hourly is what you're looking at. Hourly is actually a little bit better, to be fair. To be fair. I mean, you can make some excuses for it as long as it's above about $2, but follow the lower highs, man. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the lower highs road, sir. Kyle McDonald says, could you take a look at Matic USD on the hourly? Sure. I do actually quite like the hourly myself, but just understand that the hourly, like, these things play out quite fast, so it's not gonna be relevant for too long. It's kind of my point. Yeah, I did Luke's right before that. Yeah. Anyways, I do just kind of want to reference it on the higher term timeframes here, respectively. Okay, it's trying to kind of claw its way back around the 200 simple. I think the weekly was coming off the 55 last we looked. Yeah. Again, I'm generally looking for these things to bounce a little bit more in the medium and higher term timeframes, but shorter term timeframes, man. If I'm just looking at the hourly, I mean, I'm going to tell you what you already know. Well, it's actually the 4-hour that looks a little bit wonky here. If I actually go to the hourly, no, it ain't too bad, and you do see a pair of higher lows right here. Doesn't mean that it can't come back down and maybe grind out these higher lows somewhere down around about $1.55, maybe in $1.60, something like that. That is fine, but ultimately, this one a little bit better than the last one that we just looked at. I just want to see it actually break above about 175, and then yes, I'd be looking for that next move up, 195 to $2 or so. I do think that that's more likely based off the higher term timeframes. If you're specifically asked about the hourly, just kind of range bound right here to see anything that's obvious. Low volatility right now, and we do see a test of the 55, so I do quite like that, and potential hidden bullish evidence in the making as well here. So if you're just asking about range resolutions, I think that's rather obvious. The question is, where does it go from the middle of the range? I feel a lot less comfortable or confident talking about that. What I'd rather employ here is the higher term timeframes, of which any sort of a break above 175, I'm looking for this one to really get going into the shallow $2, like 205, maybe even 210, and that's really going to be based off of the 5-day and the weekly right here, which are finding some interim lows. I'm not calling these like the macro lows or anything, but some good short-term lows. I do think at minimum. 5-day actually particularly looking okay right there as well. So I'll just leave that one right there. Obviously, invalidation is going to be below that 155 region on even an hourly closure, or was it 150? Yeah, it was 155. At that point, I do look for a retest of your current lows, but I think that's less likely to happen. Just you kind of like speaking out of turn here. Andre 3005 says, hope you don't mind, Krown, but I tagged you in a Twitter thread I made. Okay, about the Bitcoin daily chart using Heikin-Ashi candle fract. I'm not a Heikin-Ashi guy, man. You're asking the wrong person. I don't know how to analyze it. I have very little experience with it. It implies we may find a bottom between February 21st and February 24th. Does this fit in with your analysis? Well, no, not really, because if Bitcoin's bottomed out, like this would be the bottom. I wouldn't expect it to do something like this, right? So if that's going to be February, about 3 weeks from now, so basically you'd be kind of presenting something like this, and then it comes back down, and then up like that. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? I think if you come back down right there, I think you're going lower, man. That's the problem with a move like that. So, it's very difficult to obviously, what's it called? Visualize price action before it happens. And in my experience, it's typically like a bad thing to be doing. I can go check out your thread really quickly. But again, I'm not the person to ask about Hikinashi. Let's see. Where is it? I don't see it, I don't think. What is your name on Twitter, sir? Let me just double check over here. Andres the Whale. Andres, where is it? I don't believe I see it. Maybe it's in mentions or something. Oh, there it is. Okay, I see it now. Let's see. Well, where are the charts? Okay, here we go. Let's see. I don't think I'm getting, okay. So basically what you're presenting is a fractal before it really happens. I don't know, man. I've never really had too much luck with fractals. I think the last December drop kind of proved that. I think I'll just leave it like that, man. I'm not the person to answer this question because again, I don't really have much experience with Hikinashi anyway. So you probably, you don't want my opinion is what I'm trying to say. My general thoughts would be though, is that if you do see that move happen, meaning that this is not the low and that Bitcoin grinds out this area and then puts in a low somewhere around that time, I would generally think that things probably go lower from there. So that'd be my one pushback on it, but perhaps I'm not fully understanding it. So yeah. Anyways, I will move. Mark Wickstead is next. Says, hi sir, can you check out OMI on the 4-hour daily and weekly? Okay, OMI USD. This is Ecomi. Weekly. Weekly's okay. This is actually one of the better charts. I remember this one from yesterday. I'm curious to see where the monthly is. Not really much to go off of. Has it not made a trade today? It hasn't made a trade in the new month. That's a really great sign. Wait, what the actual fuck? There's got to be a better chart than this, right? Maybe OKX. Yeah, okay, this one's actually trading. It actually has a trade for this month. Much different chart here, but still okay, still good. I do see a bit of accumulation gone in the very higher term timeframes here, that being the weekly. I just want to see this one break above, what is this, 83 or 8.3 tenths of a cent. At that point, I'm looking for massively new all-time highs. You do have a technical target based off of this as a formation, something like this, what I'd be looking for. With targets up towards, I guess, 1.3 cent. Jesus, powerful, man. If you're looking at a daily, short term probably tries a little bit of downside here. I don't know if that's relevant for you. Oh yeah, it is relevant for you. I'm basically bullish on this thing as long as you're putting in higher lows above the 5.5 tenths of a cent region. So that does imply that short term you can come down, rather significantly here. I don't really have a strong opinion on that. It's probably going to be more in line with what Bitcoin does, but this one's actually acting relatively strong. So I really don't have much to add on to it other than that. I'd be focusing on the higher term timeframes. The daily, however, could very easily come down further. I just don't invalidate any long-term bullishness, especially as long as you're above about 5.5 tenths of a cent in this case. Cool. All right. Okay, go from up, says Elsa. BK says, should I take a 5% loss and sell Vader, Ethereum, or hold out for a bounce? I mean, hey, Mr. BK, I know that you've been here long enough to probably know my answer, what I'm generally going to say about this. I don't know what your strategies are, and I don't really know, your proclivities in this market to begin with. So I can never give you like a full-on answer. What I can generally say though is that, well, in the future, yes, obviously have your fucking stop losses set out before you even enter into a trade, obviously. But in this case, do I think that things come lower over time? Yes. Now, do you sell at a 5% loss? Well, where would that imply that you got in at? Okay, so not actually that far away. Basically at like yesterday's low. Okay, even less than that. What the hell? Where did you get in at? Okay, so just a little bit higher. Let's see. So would this thing actually bounce with Bitcoin? That's a real question. It's looking like it doesn't really play with Bitcoin. I do see that this is a very clear and obvious top right here, and I do think that this will head lower over time. I'm guessing the question for you is like, do you hold out, maybe get out a break even or something like that? I don't like to play with personally speaking, I don't like to play with something like that, because if you are wrong, then the downside is obviously a lot more is going to get a lot more worse. I do think that eventually this one does come down somewhere in this region, which I think I already have I mean, this is the actual technical target, but I would be looking for a bounce somewhere around here. So even then, that would imply some nice continuation from where you're currently at. Generally speaking, I think that this one's going lower, but should I take a 5% loss? I mean, sometimes it's more wise to take a small loss instead of a bigger loss, but does that mean that you can't get, I don't know, could you get, is it reasonable to expect a little bit of a move up here? I really wouldn't be asking for too much, to be quite honest with you. Seeing extremes here on 4-hour BBWP, but I'm not seeing it below the moving average just yet, so I don't look at this move as done until that happens for the short term. 4-hour Joule is, it's really fucking aggressive there, man, but really don't, I mean, this one's obviously never been this low for this long ever, so there's not really much to go off of. Tough call right there. I don't think that this one's going to reverse from here to the upside. So I would say that if I was in the same position, I would generally be looking for an out. I don't know, man. I can't do this for you. I don't know why you took this trade to begin with. I don't know what you're basing this off of, and I don't know what you're essentially looking for. If I'm looking at momentum oscillators, you know, they're cooked up to fucking shit over here. You're probably going to get a pity bounce relatively soon, but is that going to bring you above your entry or not? I don't know. I really don't know. I think if this thing got up to, what is this, 184,000 butyrols, that would be an obvious sell. Until then, long term, I look for further downside. Other than that, man, I really can't give you like financial advice. It's also kind of illegal. Daniel Welch says, good day, sir. Can you take a look at what? Oh, it's Ricky O. Okay. Avax USD monthly and 4-hour. Man, that's quite the spread in time frames right there. But fair enough, man. It's your money, I suppose. I'd actually like to record this one. Avax is interesting here to me. All right, here we have Avalanche symbol AVAX versus the dollar. And we have, yet again, actually a pretty simple chart right here. You got your daily range highs right around 73 and change. Let's call it 73 and 20 cents. As long as you're below there, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for any sort of, or validate any sort of breakout with targets up in this case, probably to, you know, mid 80s, 84 to 86 region. 4-hour time frame. You know, I do see a slew of higher lows right here, which is a good sign. So short term, can you see some pullbacks down around your trendline support, about $6.50 and put another higher low? Yeah, definitely possible. But ultimately, as long as you're holding these higher lows, I do look for this one more likely to break out to the upside than the downside. And this would also have a technical target. I'm going to imagine that's probably somewhere in line with what we were just saying. Yeah, around 84 and a half actually. So not bad right there. But that is contingent upon validation. Invalidation would obviously be below about 65.25 in this case. Your other time frame was a monthly that you wanted to look at. Not a fan of the monthly. I do think that this one does come down further over time, over a long enough time horizon. That could still take, you know, 3-4 months. So short term, bit of bounce, probably a bit of bounce alongside the rest of the market. Understand where the invalidation areas are, and if they are hit, I would be looking for probably another move down to $55 lows. Other than that, is there anything obvious over here perhaps? Maybe stochastic momentum is just in a bit of a different picture. So let's go reference that. See what the 4-hour is looking like. 4-hour is nice and vertical above $66, which you are currently trading about 3.5 above, which is good. Daily is also good as well, above 62.9, so that is nice. And 5-day is going to turn above 77.3, so still got some work to do there. And the buy daily is also turning up as well. So I do look at this one as a lot more likely to trade towards the upside, maybe into the mid 80s upon that validation. Long term, however, Long term, I would express a bit of skepticism that this is going to be the next major macro low, but that doesn't mean that it can't trade back up even into the $100 region, maybe around end of February or so. But next move, I'm looking a little more up than down in this case, assuming that the invalidation is not hit. So hopefully that's helpful. And there you go for Avax, sir. Cool. Jack Estimate is next. Says Ethereum, Bitcoin, 4-hour and daily. Yeah, man. I'm guessing this one's pretty wrecked. I'm very interested to see the higher term timeframes. No, it ain't too bad right there. It ain't too bad right there, actually. Oh, and this one's actually looking to bust on through. Hey, not bad at all, in fact, at least for the daily. Monthly, same thing, probably looking for this one to open up on a bounce, but you're looking at a 4-hour and a daily. Okay, let's go and reference these timeframes. 4-hour, about to get a nice little crown cross signature right there, probably targets back up towards 7.4, maybe 7.4.5 million Satoshis, something like that. Let's see. I am going to make a bit of a range resolution. I think you might have already even had it as well. You're pretty much right there. I'd say that you pretty much already had it. There would be an invalidation very specifically put below about 6.8 million Satoshis. Until then, I do look for this one to take the path of least resistance, which is the upside. There's probably going to be pullbacks along the way. But 4-hour Joule plus volatility still headed north is a good sign. I would be looking for a bit of a short-term pullback at minimum somewhere around here, somewhere around the 200 simple. Also your last little technical breakdown region. Daily, as you asked for, is in it. I actually do like this setup right here, to be fair. The reason why I like it is because a lot of the times when you see something like this, it does eventually push on through to the 55. But that is where things start to be a little bit more not as interesting, maybe towards the upside, simply because I do look for lower highs there in the context of the current trend, in this case to the downside. And of course, this is again coming off extremes for daily BBWP. So I look at this as a corrective rally first and foremost, in line with the trend, which is to the downside. Daily Jewel is headed up right now, but that is within the context of declining volatility. So that is not a perfect signal or anything like that. It is a corrective signal, but corrective signals can certainly work their way upwards and onwards from here. 5-day, what are we looking at right here? Yeah, I think that this one does trade up from there. Even the 5-day actually looks like it probably trades a little bit north of that. 5-day does have some hidden bullish divergence going on right here as well, which is good. So technically that target would be a little bit higher than what I'm suggesting on the daily, which obviously would make sense being that it is a higher term time frame. That would be about 7.8 million Satoshis. I wouldn't validate that as a reasonable move until you do start to close dailies above that 7.4.5 million Satoshi region. Until then, probably looking for some short-term upside. Be aware of where the invalidations are. I think that this one's gotten beaten up to the downside enough for the interim, and very likely tries for some upside from here. I'm curious to see where the other higher term timeframes are. So the monthly, not really getting too much from this. I would be a little bit more on the bear side, I do guess. Bi-weekly, same thing. So short term up, long term, I'm still potentially looking for greater corrections in the few months to come. But for right now, short term, looking for some upside. Cool. I think JB is next. MP Nicey daily weekly. Got it. All right, MP. That was actually JB. That's actually one of the names of my mentors, man. And well, maybe you're him, maybe not. Anyways, MP. Okay, I'm not familiar with this one. Materials Corporation, and you are looking at a daily and a weekly. Not super bad here, to be fair. Actually, not super bad at all long term. Daily, I would be looking for the bounce to continue. Probably does bring it back above about $42.5 to $43 or so. Again, working off extreme conditions here on daily BBWP. You're going to see daily Jewel probably suggest a bit of an upside signal as well, but these are corrective signals for the daily. So while I am looking for upside continuation here, I would refrain from saying that I'm macro bullish on this, as long as you're especially below about 51.25. Yeah, about 51.25 from this region right here. Or sorry, it's actually a little bit lower than that, about 48.25 on a weekly closure in this case. Above there, I would validate this as a macro breakout actually. And you would be having something like this, which would be good, but just short term, I'd feel a lot more confident about speaking about some upside tries from here. I'd only validate upside, over the next few weeks here with a move below about 36, or maybe we could even use the shorter term timeframes in this case. Yeah, below about 37.25 as well. Until then, I'm looking for some short-term upside. I also got some short-term time frame bullish divergence right there as well. So, okay in the short and medium term, and then I'd want to reference it again, maybe like around end of month or so. Hopefully that was helpful. Maybe the monthly would be. No, there's no major call on that one. Just short-term and medium term. Cool. All right, let me scroll back up on over here and find where we left off. I think it was. Nope, it's Capo Tico. God damn it, man. I don't know why, but my first super chat got deleted. Can we check Adam on the 2 and 4 hour? I don't know. YouTube does some weird stuff sometimes, man. I apologize about that. I do know that it's really fucking annoying. It also annoys us too. This is Capo Tico. You're looking at Adam 2 and 4 hour. Adam, I actually think is one of the better long-term setups, to be honest with you. Now I know that you're asking about a 2 and 4 hour, and I'm looking at like a fucking monthly, but let's go over to a bi-hourly right here. Short term, still working on lower highs. I'm sure that the 4 hour is as well. Yeah, obviously. Is there any obvious signals going on right here too? You will have hidden bearish divergence for the short term upon confirmation of a local high, which would be had below about $28. If you do see that, I would be looking for another run at the lows. This is actually not so bad right here. I look at a lot of these ones, again, as likely to try higher. If you do see even an hourly closure above 30.25, I'd be extending short-term moves up significantly, actually. And I do think that that's probably what's going to happen here. You also do see bullish divergence come off the lows right here. Volatility hit extremes twice, actually thrice. So I'm looking for at least a pity rally, and that can come as high as about 33.25 or so. Anyways, if you're going to specifically request the 4 hour and the 2 hour, It's actually going to be the same validation areas right here. Problem is that you will have hidden bearish divergence if you do confirm a local high. So just be aware of that. And then the buy hourly, actually same thing as well. Buy hourly is already showing potential hidden bearish divergence right here. And the validation conditions for that are going to be the same as well, just below $28 on a closing basis. Until then, you know, short term, does it come back down and maybe stab around about 28 and a quarter? That'd be fine. Just be another higher low on the hourly. Ultimately, I'm still looking at this region right here as kind of the gatekeeper, and then targeting moves actually significantly north at about 33 to 35 region. Higher term timeframes, though, I do want to reiterate, I'm not bearish on this one long term. Actually, it's one of the few ones that I probably wouldn't be bearish on long term. Yeah, it ain't bad. It ain't bad long term actually. So hopefully that's helpful, man. Hey Dream Quartz, your super chat was actually not missed. None of these super chats were missed. The way that we do them is we do them in order of value. Yeah, and we actually didn't lose Capoticos here over, as well. I'm seeing it actually on the, yeah. Just understand, guys. If you read the pinned message, basically the way that we do it is we read them in order of value first, and then time given second. So it just seems more fair, especially when we have limited time, and you know a lot of people are requesting a bunch of different things. So I just thought, I think that that's the most reasonable way of handling it. Anyway, Shane's actually going to be next right here. And then we'll get you once your order comes, which won't be too far away actually. Anyways, hey mate, hope you have a great day. Thanks, man. I hope you have a great day as well. Just appreciating the hours per day. Hey man, regardless of how much you say it is self-serving, look, I always want to say that just because, like, you know, it is really fucking weird when someone's just like, I just want to help people, you know? It's like, yeah, you want to help people, but there's also a reason why you want to help people. You want to help yourself as well. So, you know, I always want to reiterate that because I don't want to come off as one of those people, man. I saw that this morning too on Twitter. I'm just like, it's just, I don't know. It's just like, really? You just, because if you believe that, you're just going to give everything away yourself, and then you need some help, right? You need some help as well. So I always like to reiterate that because I just think it's a good way that the world can kind of work in a more in a more like inclusive setting, right? You know, if you give value and then you also get value, that's sustainable. That's good. That's what the whole fucking environmental shit's about, being sustainable, right? We want to be sustainable. So I appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate that. But I always want to push back, and I always want to say, hey man, you know, understand I'm getting a lot out of these as well. You know, one, I mean, there's like, you know, money involved with the whole YouTube channel, not a whole hell of a lot, but it is there, of course, should be appreciative of that. But two, and what's more important to me is that once I started doing these videos, man, a few years ago, I was already a successful trader. However, I got better. I did get better. And a lot of the ideas that I also had in the beginning as well, I started to shed those over time as I realized when I was explaining them to people, like the theory behind them, it's like, this is actually not right, and this does not work. And I got better for that. So yeah, anyways, I'll move on to the next one right here. I believe it is Ricky O. He says .USD 4 hour daily and weekly. Gotcha. All right, so this is dot. I know this one's rather popular as well. Let's see where this one's at. Testing around your 4 hour range highs, as are most things. This one's, I would say, neither strong nor weak, kind of par for the course in line with Bitcoin. So I expect it to do pretty much the same shit as Bitcoin. Where's your range resolution here on your shorter term timeframes and medium term timeframes? 1990 on a 4 hour closure. In that case, this would really start to confirm this one as a pretty strong local low. Short-term targets up to 21 and a quarter would be relevant, maybe a short-term pullback right there, but I don't think that things would really stop there. I would be looking for generally a move back up towards this blue box, which is between about 23 and 23 and a half or so. Also the 4 hour 200 simple right there. 4 hour RSI will not have hidden bearish divergence because that is a higher high for right now. Let's see, where does one start to actually lose its structure and become an issue? I'd say that would be below essentially yesterday's low, kind of similar as Bitcoin as well. 1750 in this case, 1750 right there. Below their problems. Until then, you know, generally okay. Just want to see a higher low on the next potential pullback, which probably comes somewhere around about 18 and a half, maybe even as low as 18 and a quarter. I also want to see it over from this angle, and then maybe check out some of the higher term timeframes. Just to see, yeah, buy daily is freshly popping up above 1717, great. Daily, same thing, above 1761, good. 5 day is also curling up, 17 and a quarter. I'm generally looking for this one to bounce up significantly into February, that is. Potentially targets all the way up to the shallow 30s, assuming that Bitcoin kind of does something relatively similar as well. But I think that generally in this market right now, if I'm generally just going to put my thoughts together, we're looking at some nice strong lows, some nice technical lows here. I wouldn't necessarily say that these are macro lows, but very likely does work higher throughout this month of February. And then the real question is, does it top out at one of the critical areas that we outlined earlier or not? If it does, well, get ready for the dooms drop. If it doesn't, well, then hopium is still abound. Anyways, I see that stock exterior just jumped in. What's up, man? Bruh, can we check out Coin USD? Do you mean Coinbase or is it really Coin USD? Because if it's Coinbase, we actually don't need to type in USD, but let's try. Oh, you want to look at like the tokenized version of it? It actually might be more relevant to just check it out on NAS right here. Oh my God. I haven't looked at this one in a long time, but holy shit, that's ugly. Yeah, it's found a nice low. Again, extremes here. The most extreme BBWP's reads we've seen, really. And very likely does bounce out of here. But man, 220 is going to be an area of significant interest, you might say. Somewhere right around here, basically. Sometime probably this month, maybe March. So yeah, I do think that things bounce here, but man... That's a fucking ugly chart. Jesus, man. All right, let's try your US dollar parents. I'm guessing it's the same chart. I'm gonna guess it's the same chart. Yeah, pretty much. Not actually as obvious. In fact, I kind of prefer the NAS chart right there rather than the FTX chart. There's gonna be ebbs and flows along the way, but generally speaking, I do think in February, March, something like that, you're probably gonna work your way up into the 220 to 240ish region. Yeah, I'm aware it is Coinbase. Cool. All right, let me just plot back in over here and see where I left off. I think we have Ghost Pepper next. Says, can you look at traditional market? Yeah, absolutely. I think NASDAQ would be a little bit more relevant, imagining that most people here are probably looking at crypto charts, and Bitcoin seems to trade with the tech sector rather than the S&P in general. But a very good bounce here to end the month. We did say that was more likely yesterday, and I do think that this is not done here either. Generally speaking, I think that this one's going to work its way up somewhere between about 15,300 to 15,500 or so in the next month or two to come. Short term, does it work its way back down and retest like 14,700? Maybe yes. I don't know if that's relevant towards you. It seems like you're more on the higher term timeframes, of which we'll reference the weekly. Yeah, again, found a nice low right here. Same thing with SPY. SPY is stronger too. Doesn't even have a lower low just yet, which is fucking insane. So next move very likely up for SPY, probably looking about 45.50 to 45.75. NASDAQ probably looking somewhere around 15,250 to maybe as much as 15,500 or 15,600. But generally speaking, looking for this one to trade sideways and up in February. NASDAQ does look a lot more corrective to me than SPY, for example. SPY is actually still holding the long-term uptrend for what it's worth. Again, extreme conditions right here. This one also is starting to lose the moving average on this. That's when I really start to look for bounces, and I think that that's what we're seeing right here. So if you do see a short-term downside move to 14.6 or 14.7, that's fine. I'm looking for this one to trade sideways and up. Also, Daily Jewel pointed up as well, but again, corrective signals for right now. I'm going to imagine that this... I guess I already have one in there, but yeah, kind of aligning with my targets. A little bit lower than that, actually. I guess it's relevant to call out, but 15,150 to 15,500, kind of the major areas. You're already breaking above the 382, which is a really good sign. So I'm generally looking for continuation here. However, the monthly, that's where things get a little bit more not great. So while this month very likely does bounce it, maybe even to March as well, this is problematic. 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of bearish divergence right there. Monthly Jewel is also downside angled. Volatility is not heading up right now, so that is a bit of a counterpoint to that. But I mean, it's just hard not to look at the chart like this, right? Long term, I mean, this would certainly be the etchings of a potential macro long term high. But that doesn't mean that I can't bounce up rather significantly short term and do a bit of a bull trap. So that's kind of what I'm very defensive against in this next month or two of price action here. So that's why this analysis has been a little bit more nuanced and delicate as of late. One Bridum says, under on Microsoft, or sorry, not Microsoft, but MicroStrategy, MSTR, calls expiring 4/15. Where do you see Bitcoin price range before then? Well, if you're going to trade MicroStrategy, you might as well trade MicroStrategy, right? It's they're going to probably play with each other, right? Being that MicroStrategy is basically a Bitcoin ETF, kind of in a lot of ways. So you're looking at 4/15. So that's April the 15th. That is an American time. American time. I have to readjust. I'm generally looking for it to bounce again in February. If you're asking me for where to kind of guess things are in April, that's 2 to 3 months away. There's no way for me to know, man. Do I think that this one's long-term top? Do I think that this one works its way lower? Yeah, I do think so. But just like Bitcoin, I do think that February, maybe even March, is going to be a month of bounce. If you start to get above the critical regions that we spoke about earlier, then I'd call a reversal to the macro upside. Until then, you know, I think best this one does to the upside is maybe like 550 to 650 or so. So you also didn't list your strike nor premium, so it's very difficult to even get an idea of what to expect right there. But I'm looking for a bounce off these regions right here, but this chart specifically in this portion right here is very reminiscent of AMC and GME. So where is Bitcoin around those times? There's no way for me to know, man. And for me to say anything other than that is just complete bullshit. You know, maybe once we get to like end of February, early March, I'll have a better idea of kind of like a you know, best case scenario, worst case scenario. I think that would be more reasonable. Perhaps around that time, I'll have some set up for then. As of this point right now, in beginning of February, no, I do not. And I do not have a good idea, or at least enough good idea for that to, you know, speak anything on the YouTube spheres here. Capotico says, just joined the TIA course a couple weeks ago. Good stuff, sir. Nice, man. Glad to hear. Can we also check out NEAR on the 4 and daily? Sure. Symbol NEAR, USD. Okay. Okay, yeah, go ahead and close the chats. They are kind of, it's actually a lot more busy today than what I've expected. NEAR, okay, 4 hour and daily. All right. So NEAR was one of the better acting ones in December. Yeah. And even mid-January as well. When I look at the daily right here, I do look at this as likely putting in a major low. And this again coincides with what we see on the 4 hour. And we've seen this on several charts earlier, where on the shorter term timeframes, things actually are not looking all that great. The higher term timeframes show a completely different picture. And I would go with the higher term timeframes as usual. So 4 hour timeframe, yeah, we're still working on lower highs, and you will have hidden bearish divergence here. And that will be confirmed with a 4 hour closure below about 1075. And that would imply another move down around your lows at minimum, which is just below $10. So how do you mediate that with the daily? Well, I pretty much ignore it. I mostly ignore it unless if you get the validation condition for that, because the daily and most other things in this market are suggesting a bit of a different picture. And the daily over here, you know, I do look at this one as trying to put in low. What did we see over here? Again, extreme conditions, and it is below the moving average. What did we see over here? 1, 2, potentially even 3 drives of bullish divergence building up upon closing just the daily anywhere here or higher. If that happens, I'm looking at minimum for a targeted region towards 1280 to maybe even as much as $13 short term, or 13 and a quarter, and potentially long term. I mean, this is just still another higher term time from higher low. So I would refrain from getting like long term bearish on this. Where would I, what? Oh yeah, I'll pin it right now. Let me just find this one out. Okay. Can you arrange an education program for newbies? Yeah, actually I have a free one on this channel. And then if you want like something a little bit more structured or a little bit more like betterly done, I do have the Neophyte program as well. But I'd suggest checking out the free stuff on the YouTube channel first. I mean, probably a lot more relevant that you're going to get a little bit into it. You're probably going to learn maybe a few things, and then you're either going to be like, that's enough, or I don't actually really like this, and then walk away, which is fine. What most people do, and what probably most people should do. Anyways, right here, yeah, man, I'm very hesitant to call a downside move based off that right here. To me, this looks like the charts are being painted. You know, even if it gave another test down to like 9.5 or 975, I'd actually probably look at that as another opportunity, to be quite honest with you. Weekly, okay, is this a major high right here? We do see many drives of bearish divergence, so yeah, I wouldn't blindly call this one back up to prior all-time highs and new all-time highs, but I would say that you are a lot more likely to head back up towards, you know, 13, 14, maybe even $15, and that's going to be the real judgment area. Actually, sorry, the real judgment area is more like 17, but can very easily play out a nice upside move right there. So what would I use to validate this one for short-term upside? Because this one's like a little bit further away. Well, I guess I already have it in there, but this chart's so convoluted right now, it's not helpful on the 4 hour. I would say any sort of a 4 hour closure above 1260 specifically. Until then, yeah, you still got a potentially downside setup right here on the 4 hour time frame. It's not validated just yet, and higher term time frames alongside the rest of the market generally looking for a bounce here. Same thing on the buy daily. You're about to have a bullish engulfing with any sort of a closure a little bit higher than here at end of day today. So if Bitcoin bounces as well, you're probably gonna see this one bounce too. Cool. Stock tiers is next, says Ave. Yeah, man, Ave. This one, the DeFi ones have gotten beat up so much, they're probably worth watching. just for some nice pity bounces. And what do you know? The buy daily showing potential regular bullish divergence confirmed on tonight's closure with any sort of closure here or higher. That would have a nice short-term target at around just under $200, maybe even as much as 230 or so. On a nice bigger move. Daily also kind of has the same sort of setup right here. Again, hit extremes. I'm looking for this one to bounce. It is a corrective bounce, however, which is not great. Weekly. Long term, not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of it. But next move very likely is a bounce, as you also have hidden bullish evidence building up right there. And the 5-day is almost confirmed as well. Just another 3 days till closure. And then probably looking at a move somewhere in between, like somewhere around mid 200s, I imagine. Monthly. Not a fan of this chart. Not a fan of this one on the monthly, man. I do think that moves up into the mid or shallow 200s are kind of a area of hot contention. Long term, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing come down to like $77. So it's got a lot of work to do. Where would I say that this one's like, free again and it's good? That would be back above $300 actually. All right, cool. Okay, let me scroll back up on over here. All right, now we'll get to the next ones. It's Mr. Daniel Welch next. Says, good day, sir. Can we please look at VAS on ASX? Gotcha. VAS. Okay. So this one right here, some sort of an ETF that looks like absolute death. So that's really great. Daily and weekly. Well, I'm getting to guess that the monthly is going to show the long-term direction. Probably short-term bouncy. Maybe does like 92 to the upside. Daily, do we see the same thing over here? I mean, we see extremes here on volume. It might retest the lows again. I'm seeing extremes on both volume and volatility. I'm generally looking at this as the low for now. It might retest somewhere around there, like $88.50 or so, but I'm generally looking for things to trade up from this region, somewhere around low 90s, maybe even as much as mid 90s, and long term, very likely more downside. I don't think that this one's done without going to like 80. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, okay, like 83, 84 over like the next half year or so. 4-hour time frame as you. Oh no, yeah, you didn't ask about that. Okay, so yeah, just basically bouncy right here. Andrew Mose next says, Happy Lunar New Year. Oh yeah, it's the Chinese New Year, ain't it? And it's the year of is it the year of the tiger? I don't know what it is actually. I think last year was the year of the bull. And it's like, how beautiful was that, man? And give me Rose. Any time frame for both, please? Sure. Well, we already did Luna, so I'm guessing Rose probably the better do in this situation here. Rose USD. Very similar to Near actually. Again, I do look at this as likely to put in a low right here. You're seeing extremes on volatility on that downside move. You've already lost the move average on it. So I'm looking at this still as a corrective move, but just because it's a corrective move doesn't mean that I can't get going quite a fair bit here into like the shallow 40-cent region in the next few weeks. Looking at a 4-hour time frame, he said any time frame. It's very similar to a lot of the other ones. On the short-term time frames, you actually do have a bearish setup. So where would that get validated? Well, in this case, I would validate this one below 31.3 cent, essentially. Below there, big problems, probably going to retest your wick lows from late January and potentially make significantly new lows over time towards 24 to 25 cents. But for right now, I'm generally looking for these things to bounce up and try for some moves somewhere between their somewhere around their 0.5 Fibonacci retracements here. Long term, weekly, not terrible. Certainly not the worst chart that we've seen this today. Actually, one of the stronger charts that we've seen long term. You will have hidden bullish divergence, but also many drops of bearish divergence, which is not a great setup for the long term, but probably does align with some short term bounciness at least. And then the long term will come back to this one at, around end of month or so. Rahul G says, love your work, brother. Thanks, man. And thank you. Can you please go over Bitcoin log? Okay, you want to look at the log curves. Yeah, actually I haven't looked at this in a while now. And it's actually to my own dismay because this should be playing a big portion of my own. I think I forgot the most important thing today as well. Man, I've done goofed for the last time here. Oh, wow. Hold on. This is very important. This is really, really interesting right here. Sorry, I know you want to look at that. I'm going to get to that in a second, but this should have been the fucking chart of the day. The accumulation distribution indicator, yes, it still has a negative slope, but this has massively changed its curvature in February. This is a really good sign. Maybe not right now, but maybe over a long enough time period. This is actually starting to show that things aren't as bad over the macro. That's actually quite interesting, man. Thanks for bringing that one up. Wasn't what you wanted to look at. Let me go bring up the one you want to look at. My apologies. All right, so it's on this chart right here. Okay, so where are we at in the context of this? Let's get rid of all of these. Okay, dipped into the green zone right here. So what does that mean? Well, typically it means that you better bounce out of that immediately. Otherwise, probably going to spend a lot longer in there. I don't really have much to make out of this. I mean, I still look at this as one macro consolidation right here, to be honest with you. 30,000 to 60,000 essentially. Until we get resolution on one side of that, you know, it's just that. But yeah, fair enough. I guess the Bulas do have a little bit of hopium here. I think that is the biggest hopium that we just saw though on the accumulation distribution indicator chart. Yeah, looking at I don't really have an analysis on this one right now, because obviously you've lost the yellow zone. You're starting to base off on the top side of the green zone. It's not like a good thing, but you'd expect that if this is going to be the low, you do move out of this region in February and close specifically above there and reclaim even more specifically the yellow zone, which is 53. So that's very long term. That's very, very long term, of course. What's up, Justin Young? Popping in to say Happy Chinese New Year. So it is a Chinese New Year. Hey, thanks, man. What year is it of? Is it the Tiger? So that is pretty badass. Hey, Crypto King. Again, man, it's just because you sent it a while ago, we do it in terms of value. So I can actually see you.
We don't see, I don't see it. I said.
Oh, actually, don't see it. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I actually don't see it. Yeah. If you could just copy and paste it to Elsa, she'll figure it out. Okay, cool. Crypto Med is next. Says, hey brother, hope all is well. Thanks, man. Sol and or near. Yep, we got near already. So Solana would be the one to be looking at. Whoops. Did I record enough videos for today or what? Let me just double check over here. Come on, show it to me. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's fine. All right. 4 hour and daily, very similar to a lot of the other charts. Finding some local lows right here. Short term on a 4 hour, probably looking for this one to work its way up to like 113.5. Do we have a range resolution? We do actually have a range resolution. So let's actually record this one. Here we have Solana symbol SOL versus the dollar. This one already having a short-term 4 hour range resolution to the upside above our region from, I think this was yesterday or the day prior. That was basically 104. Already got the closure above there, which is good. And I'm looking for general continuation short-term to about $113.5, I believe it was on the daily. Yeah, and then perhaps more long-term continuation up somewhere around about $140 or so. Now, I would say that, again, this is a corrective move, most likely. We see daily BBWP coming off extremes. So while I am looking for this one to pop back up, keep in mind you do have lower highs as long as you're above $150, not $115, but $150. So it's got quite a bit of work to do. But short term, I do look for this one to trade a bit more sideways and up outside of this range, as I do most things in this market. Let me just reference my Stochastic momentum chart over here. I want to see if the higher term time frames are on the same side as that. I imagine they probably are. Yeah, 5 days going to cross up on the next closure above 91.70. That is good. 2 day is closing tonight, and that will turn up officially above 84.5. Great. And daily is already up above 89. I'd feel a lot more. Yeah, I would be looking for this one to trade sideways and up from here. I think that this one actually even could hit around 140 to 150, perhaps maybe later this month. But for right now, if you're on the shorter term timeframes, you do have to kind of take it one leg at a time in this case, which with short term areas at around about $113.5. Upon validation above there, I would extend targets significantly in that case to about 125 to 130, and then upwards and onwards. I only invalidate this one as a setup with a 4 hour closure below about basically $100. So not bad. I do think that that Solana's seen the lows for a while here. I'm not calling a macro low or anything like that. That conversation is very far away, but very likely to bounce out of this region and test somewhere up in maybe even the mid $100 region. So not bad in this case. Now, if you do hit the invalidation, I would be looking for another retest of basically your lows at about $80 or so, and probably continuation of new lows off of that. But I think that that's a lot less likely to happen first before a try towards new highs on this short-term rally. Hopefully that's helpful. And there you go for Solana. The bottom one, yeah. It's a Krown is the luckiest person on earth because he has you, Elsa, in it. Oh man, that's very sweet. Did you pay him to say that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, mark it yourself. All right, let me plot back in over here. Okay, where did I leave off? Yeah, Hurricane Bully, he says ICP. The Insane Clown Posse on the 4 hour and daily. So I remember this one was one of the most abysmal long-term charts, and it's still one of the most abysmal long-term charts here, man. This thing just was created to get sold, it looks like. The problem with charts like this is that when the market is on a market-wide rally and bounce, you can't really trust them like this to trade up as much as the other ones. So You know, again, you kind of see it right here. Like this one's barely, it's not even around its short-term time frame range highs. Now I do think it probably pushes through. Technically speaking, you would have a validation for that move above about 21.90 with targets up somewhere around about $26.5 to $27 daily. You do have some bullish evidence building over here. You're working off extreme conditions right here on daily BBWP. So again, I look at these as corrective rallies. I think at best it does the upside is 27 to somewhere around $27. I would not be in any way, shape, or form calling a long-term macro reversal as long as you're below the last lower high, which is 37.5. Until then, you know, short-term rallies likely lead towards long-term lower highs. It's hard to get bullish on something like this. Yes, at some point, if the project is legitimate, you know, it probably does get that long-term reversal, but these things can go on for a very, 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 very long time. Let's see. Okay, we got Capo Tico already. Just getting to that one now. Andy Cook says, long-time listener, first-time commenter. Well, welcome, man, and good to meet you. Very much. Hey, man, all good. All good, man. Been involved since 2017. Nice. NFT KuCoin 4-round. So is this a ticker? I'm actually not familiar with this one. I'm guessing, is this like an NFT maybe tracker or something? Oh, no. Okay, it's Ape NFT. All right. Okay, well, let's see what this one is. It looks exactly as you would expect. All right, 4-hour daily. Okay, I'm not seeing any obvious signals right here. Is there another chart that maybe has more? Nah, but they do look very similar. So this is right. It just looks like it doesn't really trade too much. Yeah, this one does not trade at all, man. It's got wow, it's got nothing going on. That's concerning, man. Again, I'm looking for a corrective rally here. Yes. If you're on a 4-hour, you do have a pretty obvious range resolution. That's going to be a 4-hour closure above 2120 with targets up probably somewhere around 2400, maybe as much as 2500 or so. Long term, if you do get more continuation, I think best it does to the upside is 2700 to basically 2700. I would not be in the business of calling any major reversals here, particularly as long as you're below this sort of range highs right here, which is 3200. So it's got a lot of work to do. Doesn't mean that I can't do it, but I'm not going to call any potential reversals until it's like at minimum above that region on a daily. Until then, corrective rallies, you know, I do think trade a little bit higher. I'd only invalidate short-term bullishness below about 1950, and at that point it's too wrecked to really care, I think. To be honest with you. All right, Dream Quartz is next. Says, hi mate, can you take a look at the 1 and 4 hour for SAND USD? Sure. So what's SAND USD? Okay, I haven't looked at this one in a while. This one of the MetaDerp tokens. Looks like the LARP lines are working. All right, fair enough. Not bad here, to be honest with you. At least for the short-term rally, this one's actually kind of trading ahead of most of this market, very well above its 4-hour range highs, obviously. Let's see. Speaking of the 4-hour, would I be looking for a short-term pullback right here? Yeah, you are. You do see a little bit of bearish divergence working on this one. So very short-term time frames actually do think pullback, maybe as much as 370 to 375. Hourly, same thing. Where would I invalidate general upside continuation would be below about 360. Below 360, this one does kind of fall into some problems and corrects very likely back down to mid to low threes. Until then, I actually kind of think that these LARP lines are still working, to be quite honest with you. I just want to see specifically a short-term time frame closure above about, what is this, 405, 406 region. Have we got that just yet? We actually got that yesterday, so should be looking a little bit north of here. Technically speaking, I would actually use a 4-hour in this case, and I would say it's a little bit higher than that, about 14 on a 4-hour closure. And then I'd be looking for this one to generally work its way back up here. But, you know, long term, it's still working on macro lower highs. And I do look at this as corrective rally, but I do actually think that this one trades higher. And actually on the weekly, this one's certainly not as bad as many of the charts that we've seen today. It's like really fucking interesting, man. What about the monthly? Hard to make much out of that. Would not feel comfortable saying that that's an obvious macro low right there. I'm more inclined to say that this one probably tries a little bit higher, but I want to see it actually clear above basically, what is this, the morning high or yesterday's high? About 13 and a half. This is also your last macro breakdown region, so I like to, I usually see those regions respected. If you start to trade above there, I would not just be targeting this region. I would essentially be targeting much higher than that, probably somewhere around about, what is this, 460 to as much as 5.5 actually. And that's a real test right there. If you see that one actually then come back down and lose about $4 to the downside, that would be extremely bearish long term. Probably makes new lows after that. But if you don't see that, and if you see a higher low anywhere above about $4 or so, that's at the point where it actually get quite bullish on this thing. So fair enough. Actually, one of the more short-term strong ones, which is rather interesting. Dog69 says, "Sir, why do you like Dubai? I heard there's not even gambling, coke, or hookers there." Oh, there's definitely a lot of hookers. I don't know about the drugs, though. I think they're quite illegal there. And gambling, I think they're actually opening up their first casino as well. Elsa actually absolutely loves it, and it's a bit of a birthday gift for her. I like it too. You know, it's nice to go to for a little bit of time. But she absolutely loves it, and it was like her birthday gift. Also, she fucking hates the cold weather here, and it's like negative 10 degrees Celsius today, so it'll be nice to be surrounded by some sun for a little bit of time too. Yeah, it's pretty annoying to walk right now too. Just too much snow. NWB says, "Do you expect any sort of alt season following the Bitcoin relief rally, or would it be mitigated due to the Bitcoin dominance rising?" So when you're talking about alt season, we need to differentiate alt going up versus US dollar and alts going up versus Bitcoin pairings. The Bitcoin pairing, I do think, is speaking rather largely here. We just got a bullish engulfing on the monthly. I wouldn't say this is on volume. I don't really know if I trust that, but we also do see bullish divergence come off that low as well. I do think that this one will trade higher into the 50% regions over the next, 4 to 6 months or so. But does that not mean that alts won't trade up versus US dollar if Bitcoin moves up? They very likely do. They probably just don't trade up as much. But I put out a video on this topic yesterday on Elio's channel. And what I actually think is happening is that we're seeing, we have such a vast market now and so many different, shit coins and also like legitimate altcoins that what I actually think is going to happen is you're going to start to see a lot of like the cream separate from the crop, right? In the sense that most things that trade in this market, they're fucking worthless over a long enough time period. Probably going to start to see the extinction event happen on that over the next, year or so yet again. But the ones that are going to be legitimate, which I think, we've seen a lot of those charts actually today, the ones that are holding up relatively well, those ones probably end up actually doing quite well, even versus their Bitcoin pairing. I actually do think that we start to see that because we do see, specifically on the Bitcoin pairings on long-term charts, there are actually some altcoins that are in long-term uptrends versus Bitcoin. Most are in long-term downtrends. For example, I'll give you this one right here. Here's a great example of something that's probably never going to do anything consistent to the upside. What is it? It's everyone's favorite one. It's fucking Litecoin, right? This is just a god-awful chart. Yes, it does pump and dump every once in a while, but it trends towards zero over a long enough time horizon. And if it does have another pump and dump, this thing could come up to like 67,000 Satoshis, which is a humongous move from where you're at right now. But keep in mind that long term, it's just unwise to expect anything different on the macro. So that's kind of my point, is that most long-term altcoin Bitcoin charts look something like this, where they're trending towards zero. But the ones that are not, that are generally trending up over time, those ones are worth watching because they probably actually will do better than Bitcoin. They actually very likely will do better than Bitcoin, against their pairing. But in this case, I think that this represents most altcoins right here, just a Litecoin Bitcoin pairing. All right, sweet. Let's see. Jack Tesmer says, "Could you check out Looks 4-hour and daily?" Just one at a time, man. Looks. Okay, this is real. It's real. All right, nice. On FTX. Oh, this is an NFT thing. Not much of history there, right there. Not much of history right there, man. 4-hour and daily. It's actually not. It's actually good. It's actually pretty damn good. I'd be looking for short term over the next, a few days for it to try another move up towards about 540 or so. Daily is decent as well. Not much history here, but I'm actually quite bullish on this thing as long as you're above about 413. If you do lose 413, yeah, send it back down to the lows. But for right now, I'm actually looking for this one to probably retest around its highs. Probably sometime this month, but really not much history here. So I typically don't feel too comfortable with this, but yeah, decent. Anyways, Dream Court says, "My super chat was also missed." Nope, it was not, sir. It's actually right here. But all good, man. All good. I understand that it's just confusing, man. I get it. So maybe I can do a better job of expressing, how it works so that people don't think that they got missed. Yeah, 'cause that would just suck. Anyway, Seb Lee says, "Link USD 4-hour and daily." Yeah. Let's see. Okay, 1740 right there, and you're looking at a daily and 4-hour. All right. I actually want to check this one out just as a general overview. I mean, you're coming down into your macro bottoming areas, right? Anywhere down around here is kind of you know, more likely to bounce than not, right? And this one can correct heavily back up into the shallow 20s, which is a pretty big move from where you're at right now. Daily, same thing, hit extremes right here. So I'm looking for a corrective rally, probably up somewhere around about $21 to $22 or so. 4 hour, you already have, or do you have a range resolution? Actually, not quite just yet, but I do think that you're on the precipice of it. 1775, any sort of a 4 hour closure above there, maybe even an hourly as well. Let's see. Yeah, an hourly would do it for me, actually. And I do look for that move to get going somewhere into like the $21, maybe $22 region. Hard to be bullish on this thing long term as long as you're below about $28, obviously. Monthly is quite wrecked here, so yeah, I'd hold off on saying anything else other than that. If you do get back above like $30 or so, then that would be obviously extremely long-term bullish, and you start to talk about all-time highs again. But that's so far away right now, I don't think it's relevant. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll just leave that one right there. Andrew Miller says, "Can we have an FTM estimate for the short term?" Oh yes. Why? Let me just get my estimate chart out right now. It's like a salesman, man. Man, you have to understand, analysis is highly not black and white, meaning it's nuanced, sir. An estimate, it's not strong in the short term. I do think it's going to follow the rest of the market. I just want to see it close above 220, and then now I'd be looking for a move towards 240 to 250 or so. But technically speaking, you do have a bearish setup right here, and the bearish setup will be confirmed below 204 on a 4 hour closure, or even a 2 hour closure in that case. At which point I'm looking for this one to retest around 185 region to 190. Anyways, Mahdi Sarhini says, "Hey sir, what's up, man? CKB, please, long-term, weekly, and monthly." Okay. Well, hopefully it has a long-term. Let's see, KuCoin maybe. Let's go. Okay, so let's try monthly. It actually has more history than what I would have expected. Probably looking for a corrective rally in February, somewhere up around 0.017 to 0.018, which is a nice move from kind of where you're at right now. Weekly and monthly. So let's go check out the weekly as well. Yeah, again, same chart as what we've seen many times today. Generally looking at this as a nice local low, probably works its way up short term here to like 1.7, 1.8. If you do start to see daily closures of about 1.7, I would be extending targets maybe up all the way to just under 2 cents or so. So there's a lot of work to do long term, but short term probably, or short term on those timeframes, kind of looking at those regions. Long term, you know, obviously hard to love as long as you're below the last lower high, which is quite far away. But short term, I'd be looking for that one to bounce up, and then we can kind of come back into it maybe around end of February or March, and see if it took out any of the relevant regions, and then judge if it's more likely to continue or not. But for right now, just, you know, generally sideways and up. Let's see, Jesus Mr. Venegas says, "Good day, sir. What's up, man? AR, okay. Can you check out AR 1 and 4 hour and daily?" Okay, AR, this is Arweave. On Binance, weekly, a lot very similar to other charts, but this one really looking more like a long-term macro high. However, daily, do we trade up from here? Probably yes. Maybe up to like 45 and a half to 46 and a quarter. Let's see, what are we looking like right here? Yeah, corrective rally very likely in the midst right here. Let's see, what about a 4 hour? Yeah, same thing. I'm generally looking for this one to trade sideways and up short term. I would invalidate that with a move back down below our last resolution point to the upside, which was 34.70. Until then, I'm generally looking for this one to trade up into the mid 40s, 45 to 46, let's call it right now. Hourly, same thing, trending right here, actually about to get another buy signal, hidden bullish divergence, plus low volatility, plus uptrend, plus, yeah, generally looking up here. Mid 40s, and things will actually start to change around for the macro if it does start to close above about $51. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that would be my criteria for maybe looking at this as a macro low with a humongously nasty bear trap. But I think that's a little bit less likely for right now. I'd express a lot of caution in like the mid to upper 40s. Slippy Gain says, "Instead of Excel, use Edgewonk. Makes life easier." Interesting. You're not the only person to suggest that one. I don't know. I've never even really. You know what? You know what's crazy, man? It wasn't until I'm checking it out right now. Edgewonk sounds like a masturbation tool, honestly. But you know what's crazy, man? I didn't even start to use Excel until recently. I used to always do things by hand. and so to me, Excel is like amazing. I'm like, holy shit, you can have it automatically calculate all this shit for you. It's amazing. Let's see what, I'm just kind of going over it right now because we're kind of near the end of the stream anyways. Let's see, let me just plop it in over here. I don't know, maybe I go become an affiliate for them. Kind of seems silly to me though. It's like, how much more do you need? But I don't know, if it helps, I guess. Okay, future simulators. Okay. This is actually pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, man, this is actually pretty damn cool. You know what? Thank you for that, man. I think it's time for me to maybe update myself again. I can't put all this fucking data into the internet again, man. I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. I mean, this seems pretty. It seems like a streamlined like journal. Yeah, cool. Let's see. How much does it cost? I'm sure. Hopefully, it's like reasonable. You know. Doesn't really make okay. So 169 a year. Great fucking price. I'm in, baby. I'm fucking in. Let's see. So what do you get exactly? Okay, so you don't get all. Okay, so yeah, you kind of have to buy profit calculator, efficiency analysis. Yeah, this you don't get dark mode if you don't pay for it. Have to fucking pay, man. It can't be any other way. I'm actually gonna do this, man. I'm gonna go check this out. Thank you for that, man. Thank you for that. Probably shouldn't put my email right there, but fair enough. It's not connected to anything anyways. Anyone into pulse X? I don't know, man. I haven't gotten my pulse yet, so I haven't moved over to pulse X just yet. Read a few more of these comments, man. No, take profit and stop loss at the same time. Otherwise, we'd all be millionaires. Wait, what? Wait, what? Let's see. Just trying to read through some of these. Excel on Windows 98. I know, man. It's I'm not even using Excel. I'm using Google Sheets, but it gets the job done, man. It's actually quite nice. Yeah, no dark mode. I'm not in, man. I'm out. Let's see. Let's go. Brandon doesn't understand inflation. What is he saying? Best investment is to put your money in your bank. Yeah, that inflation, my friend. Inflation. That will take that investment down every year, man. Frederick says, Krown, can you try turning off your router for the night? It gets you higher quality sleep. I've actually heard about this as well. So like the Wi-Fi waves, they interrupt with your sleep and your brain waves and stuff and keep you up. I think that would probably be reasonable and a good thing to do. What would be even more powerful is to get fucking Elsa and her damn phone outside of the fucking bed. Oh my god, that shit pissed me off.
Stop being a dad.
Stop being a dad. Let's see. I'm just reading through a few more of these. I missed the pump train and my money is just sitting in fiat waiting for the little dip. Fair enough. At least you're not FOMOing into trades, man. You're the kindest T on the telewebs. I don't think always, man. I think sometimes I come a little bit too harshly down on people, and I feel bad about it afterwards. I'm like, shit, man. I should go apologize to that person, or maybe do better in my life somewhere else to offset that. CME hitting Earth tonight and early tomorrow. You mean like coming down? Well, that's an interesting analysis. I'm curious what you're basing that off of, but fair enough. The most yummy hairstyle. You know what I know that word from? Is it Justin Bieber? Girl, you got that yummy, 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 yummy. Wow. Fucking rip my ears out immediately. Like, how do people play this music and be like, that sounds good? How do people make that music and then listen back to it and be like, that's the track I wanted to make? Girl, you got that yummy, yummy. Girl, you got that yummy, yummy, yummy. Like, what the fuck? What? Cosmic rays also affect the human brain. I mean, we're all connected in some way, right? What's up, Bear Nutrition? That's not music. You're telling me, girl, you got that yummy, 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 yummy. Girl, you got that yummy, 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 yummy. Girl, you got that yummy, yummy. That's concerning. Let me just try this over here really quick. What is this? I'm trying to search up what this person Interesting. Is there a spoof sell orders at 40,000? There's no way to know. No way to care. Which is why I really strongly suggest that order books are not wise to be putting too much faith in. It's like you have no idea. There's no way to know. Always guessing. The dog. Actually, the last time that I played the Doggy Coin song, it gave me a strike. Krown, you bastard, yummy, yummy coffee on my keyboardy. Sorry, Frank. What do you mean no? Krown, would you consider using a super chat from each stream to show us how you trade? I'm not going to trade with $5, man. I'm not to sound like a fucking complete asshole, man, but look, I'm not trying to sound like a fucking asshole here or ungrateful or anything, but I get these requests like I wouldn't say very frequently, but frequently enough to make a statement about it, where people will email me saying, hey man, I got a business proposal for you. I'm like, okay, great. And then it'll go along some lines of, so I have insert amount of money right here, usually like less than 20 million, but probably usually like it'll be like, I have either 20,000, 200,000 or 10 million. Krown, if you trade my account, I'll give you a percentage of the profits. It's a win-win. I'm like, dude, I trade more than that with my own fucking accounts. Like, why would I want the added stress of trading for someone else? Avax, Atom, or Sol over the next week. They're all the same, man. They're all the same. They're all good. They're all gonna do what Bitcoin's gonna do. Probably a little bit more to the upside, to be fair. All of those ones had decent, bounces in line there. Donate to Hungry Product Kids Fund.
Yes.
I understand that does come off as a subtle flex, but you have to understand that, like, just put yourself in my shoes. If you're someone asking like that, it sounds very like, I understand that person, they think that they're offering value, but it's just, to me, that's like, okay, now I have a boss basically, and I'm not going to get all the winnings anyways, and I already trade with more than that on my own account. So why would I ever take on that added risk for less reward too? I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's not something that I'm interested in doing. It's also, I don't know if it's illegal or not to manage someone else's money, because I'm not a financial advisor. And I do believe you actually have to be a financial advisor in order to handle someone else's money, technically speaking. I have a business proposal, Krown. If you give me 1 Bitcoin, I'll give you 5 back. That actually sounds pretty damn good, man. Usually it's the other way around. So sounds like a good idea, man. Let's talk coffee. That's also my other favorite one. Hey man, could I buy you a coffee? I can buy my own coffees, man. Like, it's not a good do, man. Not a good do. Realistically, the most valuable asset is time, and once what money really buys you is just more time in your life, just more time to do what you want to do. So it's kind of a hard sell in that case. I think Orca will continue to the up. Nice. Sounds good, man. I like the Dead Mouse intro back in 2018. Man, you must be a total OG. I actually don't recognize your name because I don't think that you've chatted here too much. But yeah, man, actually, I love to play that. I used to be able to play it because it was kind of like a remake of the original song, and then I started to get copyrights from it, so I stopped playing it. Instructions weren't clear. I just bought 10. Oh, there's a ticker called time. Is there? Let's actually see. What does this thing do? Not fucking good, man. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, this actually it's not as bad, certainly. I still don't know if I'd be a humongous fan of this chart, but at least it ain't bad as that first one on Poloniex. Favorite fleshlight? I don't know, man. I think nowadays they have all sorts of different colors, but I had one of the freaky ones from back in the day. I had this like zombie one, and it was like green with stitches on it and shit. And honestly, you have to be a really horny and sick fuck to even get a boner. And when you're looking at that, because when you're not, and you look at it, you're like, that's gross. That's very gross. Krown, do you look at Dixie? I do look at Dixie. I don't think it has the same value that a lot of people seem to think about it, but because a lot of people look at it as as something very simplistic, like Dixie goes up meaning that everything else comes down. It can be that, but you're looking at the dollar's value compared to a basket of other fiat currencies, not to a basket of assets. But in this case, I'm still looking for this one to pull back a little bit more. Daily probably comes down somewhere around about 95.75, maybe 95.80 or so, and then I'd be looking for a bounce there. But yeah, you should have many drives of bearish, or well, 2 drives of bearish divergence right there. Just a little bit more short-term downside. The monthly just printed almost a bullish engulfing. So the only way that I really get bearish on Dixie is if it quite literally came back down below last month's low. If it did something like that, that would be extremely bearish. But for right now, I think you're just looking at a backfill and then probably tries for some more upside. Let's go check out euro dollar actually. Where I know I have it somewhere here. Where is my euro dollar? Where are you? There it is. Yeah, euro dollar. It's basically like an inverted chart of Dixie. It kind of looks like it might be putting in a little bit of a local low right there. Yeah, gonna have some weekly bullish divergence come off the low, so probably does. I mean, there's a chance that it does do that, but again, it doesn't necessarily mean exactly what I think a lot of people think it implies. What has a better correlation with that is the tether dominance chart. With the tether dominance chart, we are seeing that pullback that we spoke about over the weekend, but still, this is a general uptrend, so it can pull back significantly down to like 3.5 or 370%. Still just be an uptrend, but still very likely comes down further here, which very likely does align with Bitcoin upside. Hey, what's up, John, dude? Have you watched the Expanse sci-fi show? I have not, but I've heard really good things about it. We're actually watching The Witcher right now. I'm really impressed by The Witcher. It's amazing, man. I'm gonna go read the books after we watch it. It's really, 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 really well done, and it's also hard to follow as well. Like a lot of the time I have to rewatch a portion of a scene or maybe even a full episode because it's just like, wait, what happened right there? I don't get it. But I really like the actors in it. I really like the story. I really like everything that's going on with it. It's similar story to basically all of the classic stories, right? I mean, they're all the same. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Witcher, you fucking name it, man. It's just kind of like a coming of age story. Why did you move to Finland? Well, my girlfriend lives here, so that would be one. I also like living here as well. USDC dominance did a huge dump. We can check that one out. I don't know if it has the same relevancy as Tether, but well, let's go to a higher term time frame. I would not call that a huge dump, man. I'd have to politely disagree with you, man. I don't think it's had a huge dump there. It looks like it's had a huge pump and probably going to pull back from here. It's very likely to pull back more. I mean, you do have bearish divergence on the weekly and kind of hit extremes here twice, so I do think this one's going to go into pullback mode for a while. But I think that's... Oh, the new Boba Fett episode is amazing. Interesting. I'm going to try to get Elsa to watch that, but if there ain't no Baby Yoda in it, she might not be too interested herself. Okay, cool. I think this is a good place for me to shut off the stream. It's been a pleasure speaking, though, a little bit off the cuff here, just having a little bit of fun. Bitcoin, again, just wrapping up my thoughts on the general market. Generally think that things probably do try some sideways and up from here. Technically speaking, still want to see Bitcoin actually close specifically above just under $39,000. And yeah, then I'm looking for that movement of the shallow $40,000 territory. I think that generally speaking, February is going to be a bouncy month. Question is, does Bitcoin and by extension the rest of the market get above some of their critical areas? I think that is a lot more, or at least I'm a lot more skeptical about that long term. But this can take months to play out, probably at least 2 to 3, maybe even 4 months to play out. So yeah, man, I'll probably stream in Dubai, or at least I'm going to try to stream in Dubai. As long as the internet connection is good there, we can do it. I mean, I'm going to have my computer, Elsa's going to have her computer, and tomorrow we'll be on as well, because we don't leave until end of day. So hopefully we don't get like shot down by a fucking missile. So that'd be good. But if we do, it's been a pleasure, my friends. Anyways, I'm going to be signing off now. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully very soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate.